and Morty
and Rob
and Torrin
and Lee on today's episode of Saturday Morning Cartoon Crunch. Saturday Morning Cartoon Crunch. Lee Beer.
Hi, I'm Lee Beer.
Welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Crunch. It is Saturday morning, as far as you're concerned.
It is.
And we're going to talk about you.
Yes.
And Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
And where the three of you meet.
Oh, yeah, there is three of us in this conundrum.
First of all, what do you do in the amazing world of animation?
I make pictures move.
Wow.
I animate and been leading teams of animation peoples and trying to put together a final product for the TV.
So you supervise other animators. You're the supervisor.
And also, like, animate, sometimes fix.
Right? Fix mistakes that the animators make.
You just...
It happens. We all do it. Yeah.
You gotta get to a deadline somehow.
How and why did you get into animation?
I liked cartoons. I liked drawing. And pretty much went to, like, a school counselor and be like, what can I do?
Where I don't have to work.
Abilities.
Yeah.
And no academics. So, cartoons.
Cartoons?
So
your high school counselor recommended cartoons to you?
Well, we did some like looking around. There's some graphic stuff, and then we eventually, narrowed it down to animation.
Tell us what shows you worked on that you're excited about, or
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and I've also worked on a few other adult cartoons, which are the funner ones. A lot of kid cartoons, My Little Ponies and the Pound Puppies and the Little Pet Shops.
Right.
The list goes on. But the ones that are more exciting to work on are like the Rick and Morty's, the Harvey Birdman's. I've worked on a couple shows that don't really see too much light of day. The Neighbors from Hell and Where Are My Dogs At? Did not last very long.
How many episodes of Where Are My Dogs At?
We did 10 episodes, but I think it got to episode 2 or 3 before it was canceled.
Oh, wow.
And they aired it at like 5, I think, when it should have been like a late night show.
Oh.
So kids were seeing it.
And that's not appropriate?
No, there was complaints.
So what do we know about Rick and Morty? We know that it was created in 2013 for Cartoon Network's Adult Swim by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon. Do you know anything about Justin Roiland?
I know that Justin Roiland, interestingly enough, voices both Rick and Morty, which I didn't know. I watched like the first season of it before I found that out, and I was kind of shocked. I also heard they didn't want to let him voice Morty right out of the gate, that other people auditioned.
It's very fortunate that happened, because I think he knows both voices.
Right.
Because he made like a short, didn't he?
We'll get to the origin
sorry. All right.
in a second, but first we got to mention Dan Harmon. He's the other creator. And he produced the series Community, which you've probably heard of. A very popular and humorous television comedy series. And it was also parodied in an episode of Rick and Morty called Unity. My terrible shame is that I have not seen any season 3 episodes of Rick and Morty yet. But I have seasons 1 and 2 on digital versatile discs.
You're in for a treat, though. All 3 seasons are awesome.
Morty Smith is a 14-year-old boy living with his mom, his dad, his sister, and his grandfather, Rick Sanchez, who is an alcoholic mad scientist who has a dimensional portal gun and a flying saucer, and he takes Morty on whirlwind, crazy adventures across time and space, mostly space and the infinite realities.
Different planets, different worlds.
They do get into a lot of alternate realities. It's kind of one of the things I like about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that way they can murder themselves and then replace themselves.
Yes.
And then they can
Cronenberg the world.
Yeah, they can completely screw up one timeline and then transfer over to another one where they both die and just replace them. I've
heard that Harmon and Roiland have said they're not going to do time travel because it's so overdone in sci-fi, and I think that's what they're leaning on with the alternate dimensions. Is they could just go to a different dimension where time is further along or further back.
That's the great thing about like sci-fi writing, though, that it's about your sort of imagination and how far you push it and push the actual like structure.
Yeah.
And that's what really is enticing about these shows, is that they really push like the writing and the way that the stories are. It's like they create a whole world that sort of is like maybe like it creates a situation that can be compared to something else.
Yeah.
And then it's hilarious. And
So for the origin of Rick and Morty, in 2006, Justin Roiland created an animated short for Channel 101 called The Real Animated Adventures of Doc and Marty, Mharti. And it was a parody of Back to the Future.
It was crude in every way.
Yeah.
Like, it was crudely made, but, like, still awesomely, like, I like the heart in making something like that is awesome, because he made it by himself, didn't he?
There were some animators,
yeah. The problem-solving skills were very...
Yeah. But it was also very... There was, like, some very inappropriate...
It's extremely pornographic. You can watch it on Vimeo if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't recommend watching it. I didn't walk away from watching that being like, I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting cultural touchstone.
Just don't want it to touch me.
Or touch balls.
Yeah. There's some things going on in that.
And Rick and Morty is based on the Back to the Future characters, Doc and Marty. Doc and Marty, Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
You see how this is the mad scientist and the young kid. Yeah.
Genius.
As I understand it, Dan Harmon was fired from Community for a while. And during that time, Adult Swim called him and asked, do you have any ideas for a hit show on Adult Swim? And then he called his buddy Justin, and then they developed this in apparently like 6 hours or something like that.
Really
and sold it.
Making good use of your time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not doing something that's successful. I'll just go make something else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How is it different, like, working on Rick and Morty than other shows? Is it different?
It is different. Like, I mean, there is the sort of, like, the bar that is always being raised every episode, every season. It's getting, like, bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and then people who come to it really want to be part of the show. So then, like, the fact that they're raising the actual, like, detail and the scale of everything, it makes it harder to, like, produce.
Mm-hmm. And more expensive and time consuming.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's a very difficult show compared to other shows as an animator.
You know what? The people that are running it are, like, I mean, they're very smart about, like, finding ways to make it. And definitely a shout out to Nathan Lantz, who is the director there. And he's a magician when it comes to Rick and Morty.
Mm.
He knows his stuff. He knows how to, like, bring it all together. So you always have to make sure that you can stay on target, and we have coordinators and producers to make sure that they are running the meandering cats are all
cat herding.
Yeah. So it's like a balance between numbers and creativity. So you're always going to have that. But Rick and Morty was, like, amazing to work on, and it was definitely an awesome experience.
I read on BuzzFeed,
Yeah.
our good friends at BuzzFeed, that the show's creators are obsessed with continuity.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree? And how did that affect you
They
as the lead animator?
Really tight lip sync.
Okay.
Lip sync. They love lip sync. And I think it's so much about the shows is about the dialogue.
What about the eyeballs, the pupils,
The
little asterisks?
I think it started as, like, the specific style. Like, I think you go from the pilot, which was, like, a really rough drawing style.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to refine it in the season 1. And it still kind of had more of that rough, like, shaky line on the outside. I think as the season progresses, you have people kind of like and the art improves.
Is it easier or harder when everyone can be squiggly?
I think it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because then you can make a shape, and then, you don't have to go in there and make it from straight into a squiggly
Because one of my favorite cartoons, Home Movies, like the first season is in squiggle vision.
Yeah.
And everyone's squiggling all the time.
Yeah.
But then I guess that was too difficult for production, that they just... Because you can animate a segment and just animate the parts that are important rather than having everything moving all the time for no reason. Yeah.
It's having, like, a certain pass. Like, I've been on cartoons where they want to have, like, a rough outline around the character.
Right.
And it has to, like, look like a crayon drew it.
Yes.
And that's just a disaster.
That sounds like a disaster.
Yeah. Like, if you want to modify something, it has to look like the crayon outline is moving with it. And that's really hard to replicate that in a quick manner.
No, that sounds very time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting too because I know for me, cartoons and like storytelling is about telling the story, and with that visual style, that just seems like a big pain in the ass for not a lot of payoff.
That's animation.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some episodes.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
How about what are your thoughts on the episode Rickle in Time? Now you worked exclusively on season 2?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was lead on Rickle in Time.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is the episode where time was frozen at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And then it became unfrozen, and that caused some problems because they weren't allowed to touch each other and stuff like that. And then
they weren't allowed to touch the people that they were shifting back into their time.
But then there was another aspect of uncertainty. If the kids were uncertain about things, and that would create splits.
Yeah.
And there'd be like separated realities or timelines or something like that.
Really cool idea, right?
Yeah.
And then you animate it, and then it turned out amazing, and there was a few like points in that episode that we had to like very strategically think about how we were going to do it, because at one point the camera splits into
64. I think it's 64.
64.
Yeah. It's a multiple of 2.
It's 64.
So we had to create a scene where the actual camera was splitting, the frame was splitting.
Yeah.
And the way we did that was with time and patience.
So for most of the episode, it's split in 2, and then it goes to 4.
Yeah.
And
then
then
it starts out as
like
1,
things deteriorate.
Yeah.
and then it goes to 2, and then to 4,
and
then it really did it
it went crazy
from there.
Yeah.
And
in each of those panels, things are slightly different.
Yes.
But I gotta think, like, I didn't look that closely, but in the scenes where there's 64, you gotta just be able to copy and paste a bunch of the stuff, right?
That's the trick.
Right.
Even in reusing, it still takes a long time to put together something like
Sure.
that. We did 4 variations of the scene.
Okay.
And then when they were editing it, they would put the different 4 variations and spread them out.
Right, yeah.
Across the 62.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it would look like all of them are moving. But I mean, you have to do a fight scene that lasts that long 4 times.
Right.
That's like basically a fight scene that's 4 times as long.
Each one was punching the character, and then the other one would punch the character in another area.
Right.
So they were all in different areas.
And the character was reacting.
The character was getting hit by all of them.
Yes.
Right?
Because that's the thing is now, for people who haven't seen the episode, it's basically they split time over and over, and this guy shows up who's kind of like the police.
He's like the time police. He's like a 5th dimensional. 4th dimensional?
Yeah.
4th dimensional.
Looks like a testicle.
Well, and he also looks like the Langoliers with a body from the movie The Langoliers, like the thing with the teeth and the...
Yep.
But now what's really hilarious is that was voice Keegan and Peele.
Yeah.
Keegan.
Yeah, that was really great.
Which is amazing because he's both hilarious and directed Get Out, which is messed up.
Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key did the testicle man that we see, and then Peele did I guess on the phone or something. I can't remember.
I think he's telling his buddy, or he's telling his other buddy, who's another one of these guys, about what happened, or it's on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when we got to the end of animating that scene, we had people asking where we were on that scene because it took a really long time. We worked on that for like almost a month and a half.
Wow.
And the producer was really like tapping his toes, like waiting on.
Why is this taking so long?
It's a lot of work. Yeah. So I mean that, and you also get animators who were getting it's hard when you have to animate something 4 times rather than just once.
Yes.
It turned out in the end.
It did. It was great.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yay. But it was a unique experience to like get to sort of problem solve through all that. Take part.
Did you have a story on the episode Get Schwifty?
Yes, that was also the one that I worked to lead the team, and that one was really cool because it blew up in a huge way. Like people really,
with the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the episode where giant heads came to Earth.
Show me what you got.
And they put Earth in an intergalactic music contest, basically.
And it was pretty fun. Like it was more of like more of a basic episode compared to some of the other episodes.
Right, it wasn't like wildly crazy where they're hopping through portals all the time.
Inside the
house.
Or we didn't have like a mad army of clones fighting each other.
Right.
Almost like simplicity leads to like a more like full-bodied story.
Yeah.
And it's less about trying to tackle the big problems.
Yeah, it was a solid story beginning, and there was the second side story of the family, like in the neighborhood worshiping the heads.
Yeah,
and the
the ridiculousness.
The potato head
cults. I really love the voice actor of the president. And it's
that was Keith David.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like he's huge.
Yeah, and the general is
Kurtwood Smith, who we know from that '70s show. He was the dad on that '70s show. He was the guy in RoboCop who
melts.
Yeah,
not
Melts.
Melts. He was the main baddie.
I work for Dick Jones. Dick Jones, that guy. He wasn't Dick Jones. He's the guy who worked for Dick Jones.
He also had a main voice on Neighbors from Hell, the show I mentioned earlier. So he was like the head of the corporation that the main character was working for, and he made this mega drill that was made to drill all the way into the center of the earth and harness all its power.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That totally doesn't sound like a plan that'll go wrong at all.
Yeah. And because it was called Neighbors from Hell, people were coming from hell because they didn't want humans drilling into the hell.
Oh, interesting.
That's hilarious. So it's actually, that actually sounds way more interesting than just crappy neighbors.
What about Big Trouble in Little Sanchez? The one with Tiny Rick!
Oh, I love
Tiny Rick. So I did mention that I worked on this show a little bit, and usually when we're supervising, we get a chance to work on scenes ourselves, and I did a scene...
You don't just delegate, you do some actual...
Yeah.
Putting your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
Drawing things.
So after a long day of work, we'll be like, hey, why don't we just animate? And we get some of the really, like... hefty scenes, and I did a scene where the Queen Beth Overlord is ripping through a bunch of worm and muscle jerrys.
So in the episode, Rick takes the mom and dad to an alien planet for couples counseling.
Yeah, they're like the masters of couples. They can fix any relationship,
but not theirs.
and what part of the process is, they put a little thing on their heads, and the representations of what each character thinks of the other character becomes real.
Yeah.
So,
like Beth is a scary queen.
Yeah. So in
monster.
Jerry's mind, Beth is like the queen alien.
Yeah.
And in Beth's mind, Jerry is kind of like this meatworm.
Yeah.
Slug, like little slug. Yeah, spineless.
Slug.
Yeah. And
so you had you animated a scene.
One scene, and it took almost like a month just working on the side, whittling away at it. And when we were screening the episode, I was watching it with the the lead of that episode, and he laughed at me, and he chuckled that it was like 3 seconds long, and he barely even noticed it.
Oh shit!
It was like one of the big wide shots with like a million
bigger wide shot with a bunch of characters fighting each other.
Yeah.
And a bunch of mayhem that you probably don't even see.
Just to show quickly that the
it's
base
crazy.
is destroyed.
We'll freeze frame that shot and put it in this episode.
Yeah,
was there like
17 mark? Were there like dinosaurs bursting through walls, and then the walls like came back?
Yeah, no, not that bad. But you should definitely show that GIF. Yeah, and then the other episode that I worked on was Look Who's Purging Now.
Look Who's Purging Now.
Yeah, and then those were the 3 episodes that I worked on, which was, I
really like the armor in Look Who's Purging Now.
People, they it wasn't one of their favorites, but I really liked it for the end because I'm a fan of horror movies and all the gore and blood at the end.
And the weird music that was like happy dancing music.
In the end of the episode, because they go to a planet where they have the purge, just like the movie The Purge. So one night of the year, anything goes. So everyone's just murdering each other at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, one episode that you didn't work on, because it was in the first series, but we want to talk about.
We want to talk about.
Is Rixty Minutes.
Rixty Minutes. Interdimensional cable.
Yes, Rick installs it, and they basically spend the entire episode watching interdimensional cable, just flipping channels on space TV, basically.
Yeah.
This is the episode which was highly improvised because from what I heard, all the stuff that happens on the TV
is like improv ad-lib by Justin. Yeah,
I love Two Brothers.
Two Brothers. Yeah. One of the things they watched was a commercial for a cereal called Strawberry Smiggles.
Strawberry Smiggles is basically Lucky Charms with its own leprechaun mascot.
Yeah, his name is Top Hat Jones. He looks like Lucky the leprechaun from Lucky Charms, but he also has rabbit ears.
Yeah,
for some reason.
And
in the cartoon, or in the commercial, just like Lucky, he wants to keep he wants to keep all the cereal to himself. Smiggles. So his
drastic solution is to eat them.
Right, he eats them all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the kids are not denied their Strawberry Smiggles.
Yeah, no, what tastes better than digested
soaked in his own stomach acids?
Yeah, the kids tape him down to a stump and cut him open with a big knife, and then eat the cereal out of his entrails.
Horrifying.
And that's what we're gonna do.
Segue
with.
Oh shoot!
Strawberry Smiggles.
I thought you'd found a real leprechaun. I'm kind of disappointed.
This was produced by FYE and distributed by FYE, and it's crunch time.
It looks very official.
So the first thing I noticed about this box of Strawberry Smiggles is feel how sturdy.
I feel like
that
you
box
could probably
is.
murder a man with this.
You at least a
you
leprechaun.
Yeah, a small man, a small mythical man.
Yeah.
You can open it from the top.
The normal.
It's not your usual. It's constructed very strangely.
The cardboard is much thicker. It's like real cardboard, whereas normal cereal boxes are that like super thin cardboard
to protect the Strawberry Smiggles. But we're just going to close this back up.
Because we're going to practice one of our dark rituals.
Yeah, sacrificing the cereal.
Yes.
We are serial killers.
Oh.
As you can see on the back, there is Top Hat Jones staked down to a stump. And we are going to, like in the commercial, cut it open. Would you like to do the honor of cutting open Top Hat Jones to get these Strawberry Smiggles inside?
I wonder if they taste like they've been soaked in
We have the box.
acid.
We have the knife.
Will the box bleed?
We have the will. And, yeah. How do you... Oh, no! Oh, don't kill me! I hate all the Strawberry Smiggles. As long as you get a stomach, it's fine. Oh, I have faith in Bagora. Oh, me entrails.
And
that's fantastic.
I don't even know how we access the cereal at this point.
You need to reach inside with your bare hands and just rip him open.
Oh, my God. There it is, the delicious Strawberry Smiggles. Now, the second thing I notice, oh yeah, you did cut through this, is that, what is it?
Just marshmallows.
It's all marshmallow bits. That's all it is.
Should not have this much sugar.
Let's do the smell test. What are your impressions?
That smells like sugar.
It totally smells like kind of fruity.
Oh my God, that smells amazing. That smells like, because I was just eating Lucky Charms last week after some was left on a film shoot I was on, and I was like, I just need a cereal that's all.
And how do you pour it into the bowl from there?
That's the real question. I feel like I should have got a label or something.
Here, I'll show you what I did last time I gutted a leprechaun.
Oh, you can see all the powder in the bottom there.
Yeah, that's called cocaine, my friend. That's where cocaine comes from.
I advise you not to take too much just because it is all marshmallows.
Okay.
Here, pour yourself some marshmallows.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, these definitely look different. Oh, I took too many.
Torin, would you film?
God,
this is definitely...
I took too many as well.
This is way different.
Oh, you can give me some of yours. I'm okay with this. I'm ready to jump on this. So, Torin,
let's see.
If you would like to
pour some milk.
Delicious milk.
Here we go. It's happening. Is that good?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
All right. You'd like some milk, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to eat this dry.
Now, I'm looking at these marshmallow bits. There are what? 4 colors? 5 colors?
Yeah, I see 4 or 5.
The shapes. There are shapes. They are basic geometric shapes. We got purple moons.
Purple moons.
Okay.
We got like rectangle blue and green. Oh, greener moons as well. And then we got triangles. Now, if we were to compare that with actual Lucky Charms, let's throw a few on here.
Look at those are noteworthy.
They don't.
Yeah.
They're not vivacious. They're not vivacious shapes. They're standard.
I feel like somebody put like sugar cubes and in like something like a liquid, softened them,
Yeah.
and then just dried them out again.
So on the left we have the Strawberry Smiggles, and on the right we have the marshmallows plucked from a real Lucky
From an actual Lucky Charms.
From an actual leprechaun. Thankfully he didn't die in the...
You know what? I would believe that this is what leprechauns are made of.
Well, they're not crunchy.
No.
And strawberry flavor? None at all.
No.
It's just, you can buy packages of marshmallow bits or Marbits for like $10 on Amazon or eBay or whatever.
Wow. And somebody's gone through the trouble of separating them from normal.
I'm gonna buy them probably from
No,
the
you just get them straight from the factory or whatever. They're not separate.
Because I mean, like, if you really are having a slow day, you may as well just like inject sugar into your body.
I'm sure these are the exact same product. So when you pay $12 for $13 for a box of Rick and Morty Strawberry Smiggles, you're really just buying the box.
And the experience. The experience.
It's a very sturdy box.
Yeah.
And the experience of cutting open a leprechaun and tapping his entrails into your... I'm going to go back for more.
I wish there was some...
That's a first. I think that's the first second bowl.
It's just so much more enjoyable to pour. Look at he's looking at us.
They're not terrible. I've eaten cereal on this show that is worse than this.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
But I feel like what I'm going to do with the rest of the box is take a bowl of Lucky Charms and just add extra marshmallows.
Ooh, that's genius.
Yeah.
Do you have any more milk?
Yeah. There is no strawberry flavor, and that's the biggest disappointment to me.
I'm okay with that, actually. I don't know about how some of the artificial fruit flavors we've had in our cereals have been pretty vulgar.
I feel like I have to go to the dentist.
Right away?
Yeah.
Oh, one of these is my tooth that fell out. I feel like even though the message of Rick and Morty is that the universe is huge, and there's no meaning to anything,
no,
I still wish there was strawberry flavor in the Strawberry Smiggles.
That's actually, maybe it's the reflection on life, that when you really want that strawberry flavor, life is much more bland.
We're going to have to go to another dimension where they put strawberry flavoring on the Strawberry Smiggles. The question we always ask, would you rather eat another bowl of the cereal or watch another episode of the cartoon? So would you rather watch an episode of Rick and Morty or eat another bowl of Strawberry Smiggles?
I don't eat sugar too often, so I'm going to go with Rick and Morty.
I will also go with Rick and Morty.
I like Rick and Morty a lot, so I'd rather watch it than this.
Yeah, it's not a total disaster, but the other thing we need to talk about is The Simpsons.
Yeah, we, on the second season, got a chance to work on the Rick and Morty opener for Simpsons.
The couch gag.
The couch gag.
This is season 26, the finale of season 26 of The Simpsons, called Mathlete's Feet.
The couch gag is they crash into the couch and they murder the Simpsons.
Right, with the spaceship.
Yeah, so they end up... Rick sends Morty to another planet to get them cloned.
Right.
To replace
them.
While he robs the whole entire house of all of its values.
Yeah, all the, like, Lisa's saxophone and all the things that we've seen in the Simpsons.
Yeah, and in the end, they are meshed with Rick's DNA because he cleaned out the vials.
He spat and cleaned on the vials.
Yeah.
So they become horrible monsters.
Yeah. And, there's like this
and then the punchline is, no more guest animators. Yeah. And that's you. That's your fault.
I ruined everything. Not specifically me, but it was awesome to get the chance to work on that, like, once in a lifetime kind of opportunity.
Did you watch Simpsons when you were younger?
Yeah.
26 years ago?
And even, like, that show can be a comparison to Rick and Morty because it started off with a really rough drawing style that was outside. And then if you look at season 26, it is so much more refined. Those characters are fully, like, fleshed out, and their drawings of the characters are super tight.
Some might say a little too fleshed out.
Yeah, too much flesh.
Last question, favorite cartoon?
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Ooh, I remember that.
We should do an episode on that.
Yeah. That one's just like a weird mix. I mean, I grew up with X-Men and Batman, the animated Batman.
Yeah, the animated Batman.
Yeah. And Darkwing Duck, you know, the list goes on, Tailspin. Yeah. Like that's what I grew up with. I remember, I guess to close out, when I was 6 or 8, I was in I was in a friend's house, and I saw their older brother watching Akira on Laserdisc.
Ooh,
my brother rented Akira, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are watching a cartoon," and I was like 12 or something, and my brother's
that melted my mind, and I wanted to watch.
Dude just got shot in the head
so badly, but I was told to walk away.
Oh.
And then when I actually saw Akira for the first time again, I was like, "Oh my god, this is that cartoon that I saw from like the other room."
And then
I guess it's like star-crossed lovers. I saw it in the beginning. I've been watching cartoons for so long, so I make pictures of me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on Saturday Morning Cartoon Crunch. Leave here, everybody. Yay!